it's always baffled me with Way of the Dragon. When they, they film a bit and then they go and watch the dailies later, surely someone would have seen that some of this was out of focus. Hello. Welcome back. And as always, I hope you're doing well. Right, before I start, guys, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you who has liked, commented, subscribed to the channel. It really does help. And for those that purchased a t-shirt off my Etsy store last week, now they should be arriving today or tomorrow, but anyone else who's tried will realise that I've set Etsy to I'm taking a small break. And if you check out the end of this video, you'll understand why. But those who have purchased t-shirts, they should be with you either today, tomorrow, or at least Saturday. So thank you for all of that. And if you want to understand my Etsy conundrum, check out the end of the video. Right, today we are going to be talking about The Way of the Dragon, the Arrow release, the 4K out of the Golden Harvest box set. Now, Arrow have restored this from the original film elements, not from the original negative. And you've got the Hong Kong theatrical cut as well as the Japanese cut via seamless branching, plus the extras. So I thought I'd just give you my thoughts on the picture quality, the sound, and some of the extras. So let's get on with it, shall we? Now, the cinematography was done by a Japanese guy called Tadashi Nishimoto. Bruce Lee wasn't satisfied with the look of Fist of Fury and the Big Boss. Go figure. I thought they looked amazing. But he was really interested in lighting. And now don't forget, Way of the Dragon is literally Bruce Lee's baby. It's the quintessential Bruce Lee film. It really is. He directed it, wrote it, starred in it, done the fight choreography. He was completely involved in this particular project. And he was advised that Nishimoto was the best. He'd done a bit of work with Shaw Brothers, although he was Japanese, he'd done a lot of work with Shaw Brothers. But Nishimoto was an old man, he'd retired. Whenever I've watched Way of the Dragon, it's clearly that some of it is out of focus, and it really, really is. And I've checked all my previous Blu-rays and DVDs of Way of the Dragon, and in the same areas, they all look the same. They are out of focus in places. And I guess now we're watching these Arrow sets with a real keen eye in 4K. These out of focus areas really do stand out, as well as some of the handheld stuff done in Rome. Literally looks like you're on a bumpy road, going off-road. They're all over the place. But what you've got to understand is, Nishimoto, who was holding these cameras, was a small, old guy, and he just didn't have the strength to hold them, really. So there is issues with Way of the Dragon, I've got to say, picture-wise. I mean, I watched the Japanese cut, I've watched the normal Hong Kong version, and I've watched the Mandarin. I haven't watched the Cantonese one yet. So I've watched Way of the Dragon about 4 or 5 times. Well, actually, I've watched both the audio commentaries, but we'll get to that in a little while. When they went to Rome, there was only a crew of about 7 people over there. Nishimoto was one of them, and he took a lot of photos on a Hasselblad camera, I do believe. So when they went back to Hong Kong, they blew them up for the Colosseum, really, and some of the settings, like outside the window in Nora Mal's apartment, to make it look like Rome, because a lot of it was filmed in Hong Kong. They only done about a week or so in Rome. Now, Golden Harvest usually will use dial-a-scope. If you watch The Big Boss or Fist of Fury, right at the beginning with the old Golden Harvest, the corn, you'll see dial-a-scope. But in this particular film, Nishimoto wanted to use Technoscope. He'd seen a film in Technoscope and he thought it looked beautiful, so they wanted to use that. Now, this was the first time for Golden Harvest, so it was a bit of a trial and error type thing. So there are issues with it. I mean, apparently Bruce Lee, when they was watching the dailies, and it's always baffled me with Way of the Dragon, when they film a bit and then they go and watch the dailies later, surely someone would have seen that some of this was out of focus. But apparently Bruce Lee was really happy with the dailies, so they carried on. Now, picture-wise, I mean, we're not talking about the film here. I have thoroughly enjoyed watching Way of the Dragon a few times. I really have. The film is so quick. And if I re-ranked my Bruce Lee films, Way of the Dragon is just, it's Bruce. It's so Bruce. Even Linda Lee has said that in previous videos and stuff. That was the most Bruce Lee you'd ever get in a film. Picture-wise, does it look as sharp as The Big Boss and Fist of Fury? No. But is it the best we've ever seen The Way of the Dragon? In my opinion, 100%. I've done a bit of a back-to-back with a Criterion. It's out of focus in the same places, but I think the colours look gorgeous and the black levels look beautiful. I think what Arrow have done with this is amazing, really. It really is. Sure, there's issues with the picture. We know that. I think it was hidden when we used to watch it on VHS back in the day, because the whole picture didn't look up to scratch. We didn't really notice as much. We probably did. I mean, there are some scenes that are just so out of focus. I don't know why they just put it through, but that's all we've got, basically. But I personally think we've never seen Way of the Dragon look like that. Now, I've had a few comments on here where people have been complaining about it. It don't look as good as Fist of Fury, don't look as good as The Big Boss. Bruce was trying something new, so you got to sort of allow. I honestly don't think you're going to see it better looking than this. Before we get into everything else, what I really did enjoy seeing was the Concord, you know, the two dots at the beginning going into the yin yang sign and Concord production. It's lovely to have that back in, because some of the early, if I remember correctly, maybe you might be able to let me know in the comments down below, that was on the original Rank videos. I know Way of the Dragon was cut to smithereens over here, James Furman, but they was definitely on them tapes, but I don't have them anymore, so maybe you might be able to let me know. But I definitely have seen it before, and it's something I forgot about until, I don't know, the last year or so. But it's lovely to have them back in now. Now, the Japanese cut, it says it's a minute longer, but pretty much it's the beginning and the end. At the beginning, you've got a title card and a blue background at the beginning, followed by Japanese writing and a drawing of a dragon. And you've got The Way of Life sung by Mike Remedios throughout it. Now, apart from the beginning and the end of the Japanese cut, I personally couldn't see any difference in the length of the film. There was just a couple of music cues that I noticed was different. When Bruce and Nora first leave the airport at the beginning, they're driving around Rome, you can hear The Way of Life being played again there. And at the boss's office, at the end, when Bruce turns up whistling to get Nora Mayo out, there's some funky music playing there. And when you first, just before Bruce goes on to the Colosseum and you see Bob Wall and Wong In-sik, there's some funky music playing there. But other than that, that's all I could pick up on. So if you've picked up on anything else on the Japanese cut, again, let me know down below. The audios are newly restored lossless Mandarin. That's what I watched. And it was funny when the boss says to the thugs, you know, get him out the back, but no guns. You can hear Bruce Lee's voice over the boss. That was kind of fun. He did that with Petrov in Fist of Fury. You could hear Bruce Lee's voice. For those Bruce Lee enthusiasts out there that just want to hear any bit of Bruce Lee you can, check them out. But to be honest with you, the one that I enjoy the most is the English dub. It's what I grew up with. Call it lazy. I do enjoy subtitled films, but with Bruce, do you remember what he said? You've got to keep the dialogue down. It's a motion picture. And with Bruce, I just want to watch him when he's on the screen. I don't particularly want to be reading, but I do. The extras. You've got two feature-length audio commentaries, one by Frank Jeng and Michael Worth. The enthusiasm of these two people about this film it's addictive. It's contagious. It really is. You kind of want to be in the conversation with them, adding your pennies worth. They know loads, and they explain some of the technical issues of the camera and stuff like that in it. And the other one, again, by Brandon Bentley, which was fantastic. Both of them audio commentaries, I could literally walk around with them as a podcast on my phone and really thoroughly enjoy listening to them talk. Both of them audio commentaries come highly recommended, and if you've got the Arrow set, give them a play. You'll thoroughly enjoy it and you'll learn a lot as well. Then there's a 50-minute documentary on here called The Way of the Camera. I thoroughly enjoyed this, actually. And he explains Nishimoto's relationship, like when Bruce called him. Bruce Lee was just done 2 successful films and he was obviously a massive star in Hong Kong. And Nishimoto had retired. But Bruce called him up and got him to work on this. It's a really interesting Really interesting documentary. Like I said, it's about 50 minutes long, and it's got Andre Morgan, Michael Worth again, John Kreng, Andy Chung, Frank Jen, David Young, Bolo's son, and boy does he look like Bolo. And you got film historian Courtney Joyner and actors Piet Schwer, who starred in The Way of the Dragon, John Ben, obviously the big boss, and John Saxon. And that was nice listening to John Saxon when he said he was walking down the road with Bruce in Hong Kong, and old ladies were coming up and grabbing him, and John just smiled. He didn't really understand what they was going on about, but he sort of stood back. And John Saxon, I think, was a lovely guy. I would love to have met him in real life. I do have his autograph though. But a lovely little documentary. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Another extra on there is Meet the Italian Beauty, and this is about an interview with a newly done interview with Melissa Longo. I didn't realise Melissa Longo was in so many Italian films, and I found out that she was in a film, nothing to do with Bruce Lee, mind, 1980s Cat in the Brain, a Lucio Fulci film. Bit of a gross film really, but I never ever noticed her in it, to be honest with you. But yeah, Melissa Longo's in that. And I didn't realise she was also married to Ricardo Billy. He was a producer on The Way of the Dragon, and he played the bank manager, you know, when Bruce Lee goes in with them notes with Nora Mayer. So, like, loads of interesting bits of trivia. So Melissa Longo is with Ricardo Billy all these years later. Incredible. Another extra which I found quite interesting was The Scottish Soldier Meets the Dragon. That was a newly filmed interview with an on-set observer called John Young. Now, John Young was in the army at the time and interested in martial arts, and through a course of events he got to meet Bruce Lee, and he was there filming in the boss's office during some of The Way of the Dragon. And I thoroughly enjoyed listening to him, because after all these years, 50 odd plus years, he's still excited, and you could tell his enthusiasm about meeting Bruce and how respectful he was and how generous Bruce was with his time, because he realised he was a busy man. I mean, it's not one that I watch very often, to be honest with you, like the Melissa Longo interview, but it's a little gem. And I tell you, he was a lucky guy, and he's had his photo done with Bruce Lee outside. Lovely little extra. And the guy, you can just tell, just listen to him talk about it. He's still as excited today as he probably was all them years ago. And then obviously you've got a load of archive interviews with John Ben, Bob Wall, Wang In-sik, and production managers Chaplin Chan and Louis Sitt. Quite interesting, but these are things we've seen before. Then you've got the trailer galleries, you know, the Hong Kong, the US, TV spots, radio spots, etc. And you've got a Bruce exploitation, a few trailers of the Bruce exploitation films. Now, some hardened Bruce Lee fans can't stand them. Me personally, I quite like them. They're not in the same league as Bruce Lee films, of course they ain't. But they have got some sort of naive charm to them. There's something about them. A lot of them are awful, but that's kind of what I like about them. So that's quite cool extra. And then obviously you've got your image galleries, your posters, behind the scenes, and all that. So for me, I think it's another win for Arrow. Now, I know I've had a lot of complaints in the comments about Way of the Dragon. Am I going to review it? Honestly, guys, put in your old Criterion, put in your old DVDs, whether it's the box sets or whatever you've got, and them issues are on every single transfer. The same out of focus stuff. I don't understand fully why they didn't see it in the dailies, but they couldn't go back and shoot. Don't forget they was in Rome for a very limited period. They weren't even supposed to film in the Colosseum. I think they threw a few bucks to someone and they let them in. And that, incidentally, is the last ever film to be filmed inside the Colosseum. Because it's just not allowed. You're just not allowed to do it. And like the airport shots at the beginning, I don't think they used tripods and all that, so there was issues. We know there's issues. But on the whole, me personally, I don't think we've ever seen Way of the Dragon look this good. And like I said, I've done a back-to-back comparison with the Criterion. There's a world of difference. The Chuck Norris fight just looks so rich, and the colours look popping, and the black levels looked just right. It wasn't too black, it was just right. And I thoroughly enjoyed Way of the Dragon. It could have moved up my list. At some point I might readjust my list of Bruce Lee films. I've always said Enter the Dragon hands down is my favourite. So let me know what you think. Are you really disappointed? Or have you gone back and looked at your old Way of the Dragon copies and thought them issues are there? The thing is, now we're watching them on 4K TVs with 4K players, we're expecting everything to be tack sharp. But if it's not there at the beginning, it's just going to bring it to the foreground. So don't be too disappointed. I think Arrow have done a phenomenal job with this. I think you're not going to see Way of the Dragon look as good as this. It's not Fist of Fury quality, it's not Big Boss quality, but Bruce wanted to play with the lighting and do different stuff. He wanted to try different stuff. It is the quintessential Bruce Lee movie, and I love it. Anyway, right, the next one in the set is Disc 5, Enter the Dragon. Now, it's the 40th anniversary disc and it's only on Blu-ray, so I thought there's no point in me reviewing that. But what I thought I'd do, because I've been working my way through, as you know, Big Boss Mandarin Cut, Fist of Fury, now Way of the Dragon, I thought you could choose the next one I do. I was going to work through them, but I thought I'd give you a choice because I've had a lot of people saying, can you review the final Game of Death? And I'm going to do it, but I thought I'd give you the choice. So, would you like me to do Disc 6, Game of Death next? Or Disc 7, the Game of Death alternate versions? Disc 8, Game of Death bonus disc, which features the final Game of Death, of course. Disc 9, Game of Death 2. And Disc 10, the documentaries. So, Bruce Lee the Legend and Bruce Lee the Man the Legend. They're only 1080p, but drop them in the comments down below, guys. What would you rather me review next? I'm going to give you the option on this one. I was going to do just go straight, skip Enter the Dragon and go straight to the Game of Death and watch that fully and then give you my thoughts on it. Or would you rather me do any of the others? The one that gets the most comments in the comments down below will be the one I do next. Now, bear in mind, guys, next week we have the funeral. You know, I told you we've got a bereavement in the family and the funeral's next week, and we're very involved in it. So hopefully I'll be able to do a video next week, but if I don't, please understand, you know, it's massive to us, you know, so our world's been a little bit whacked. So yeah, right, so let me know if you want me to review any of them. That will, but you know, the one that gets the most comments I will go straight to, whether it's the final Game of Death, which I have watched just under 4 hours. That documentary, I watched it in one sitting, blew my little Essex mind, that did. But if it's any of the other discs, whatever gets the most votes or the most comments, I will be doing next. Right, now before I go, let me explain my Etsy conundrum with you. Right, my Etsy is linked to Printify and they do my t-shirts. Right, but what I didn't know, my own fault, is when you set up an Etsy and people buy your shirt, they don't pay Printify, you do. Not a problem. I was a little bit shocked at first because I've got 10 orders, so that means I've bought 10 t-shirts. But I thought, fair enough, that's not the end of the world, I'll deal with it. So Etsy pay you on a weekly turnaround. But Etsy, everything was going wonderful. I dealt with the fact that I was going to pay for them, but I only had to wait for a week to get my payment back and a little bit of profit. And literally, it's only a little bit. Etsy took their payment, of course they did. But what they'd done, they sent me an email. They put me on what they call a temporary payment reserve for no reason. I don't know why they're doing it. Unbelievable. So basically, what they decided to do was, I'll sell whatever I can on their site, they will get paid, Printify will get paid by me, but I won't get paid. And I'm a working class man, I just can't afford to do that. So, a little embarrassing, yes. It's, you know, I took ages trying to work all this out, but I just didn't do my homework. So, I've literally put, I'm taking a break at the moment on my Etsy site. I think it's disgusting. It's another big corporation just screwing the little man again. I will figure something out, but I'm going to kind of leave it to the wife. She's been doing eBay for years. She's a little bit better at these things than me, and we're going to be a bit more thorough, because these little things that they can do, and once I looked into it, this has happened across the board. Now, mine's only a small little tiny Etsy account, and luckily it didn't get out of my depth, but there are people with thousands in Etsy, and for no reason they're keeping them. I didn't know this. I just thought it would be easy. It can all happen in the background, and I thought it's the way forward. Someone will buy it on Etsy, they'll see it, that will go straight to Printify will print it and send it. Perfect. Not so much. I don't know, they've still got my payment on hold, so now can you imagine if I sold 100 t-shirts? I'd be in a mess. So I wanted to be honest with you guys. Now, like I said, the people that bought them are starting to receive them. I see a couple of comments today. I haven't replied yet, and I know the others have been sent out. I've checked them all. They all went out Wednesday. So like I said, today, tomorrow, Saturday at the latest, I would have thought. But Etsy are holding up my end, so I can't put the money back into my account to have more people buy them. Now, I'm very mindful that a lot of people had t-shirts in their basket, probably waiting for payday so they can buy their t-shirt. I'm so sorry, guys, but if 100 of you, like I said, all went out and bought them, A, I'd be flattered, B, I'd be broke. I just want to level you guys, to be honest with you. For those that have got them, I hope you like them. Yeah, I will let you know in due course, but I'm going to take a little bit more time, which I know is a pain in the arse, because people want to wear their t-shirts or whatever. But guys, I just can't do it. If I'm honest, I just can't do it. So again, sorry about that, guys. Now back to the video. Well, I hope that makes you understand what's been going on with Etsy, guys, and at the minute I just can't be dealing with it, but the wife's on it, and we're going to take a little bit more time and make sure we know all the processes in future, because I'm as useless as a one-legged man in an arse-kicking competition. Really, this sort of thing, I'm rubbish. I hope you all understand that, guys. But everyone who's ordered their t-shirts and paid for them, literally, if they're not dropping today, it'll be tomorrow or Saturday. So, I'm going to bid you farewell. Have yourselves a terrific weekend. We're out to see this new film, The Sound of Freedom, that human trafficking that's going on in the world today. And me and the wife want to support the people that made it, and I'm kind of curious. I know about Tim Ballard. I've been following Tim Ballard's work, an amazing human being. So we're going to see that tomorrow night. But hopefully I'll get a video put out next week sometime, but if I don't, please understand why. Anyway, I'm waffling. I'm going to love you and leave you now. Have yourselves a fantastic weekend. Much love. And I'll be back with another ramble real soon. You take care of yourselves.